Today we're going to talk about how you, your mom, your sister, your neighbor, anyone can get more loot from the new Coil activity in Destiny 2, which I think more people should know about because it's a match-made activity. And if you don't know exactly how the loot system works in the Coil, you could be slogging on through a really long activity and not getting rewarded as much as you should be. We're going to cover how the base mode works, how the scoring and loot system work, and tips to not only maximize your score and drops, but on how to crush one of the most challenging seasonal activities we've ever had. Timestamps right here if you want to jump ahead to any part in particular. But real quick, today's video has been sponsored by Star Trek Fleet Command, so let's give them a proper thank you. Star Trek Fleet Command is a beautiful free-to-play MMO game with an open world set in the Star Trek universe. Recruit legendary characters to crew iconic ships from over 50 years of Star Trek stories and send them on missions of exploration to expand your territory. Of course, you know the game includes icons like Spock, Captain Kirk, and more, as well as iconic ships like the Enterprise. Engage players around the world in battles, testing your strategic ability, negotiate alliances for greater gain, and harvest the galaxy's resources as you upgrade your fleet of starships. Look forward to joining a thriving community of active players to join your journey through the Star Trek universe, where every month new events and content are added to the game. Download Star Trek Fleet Command using my link in the video description. Once in game, go to your player profile, open settings, choose general, and scroll down to the very end to sign up for your Scopely account. Then go to the official website StarTrekFleetCommand.com and click the store icon on the header to log in with your Scopely account to visit the web store. Once you're in the store, access promo codes on the left hand of the menu, open the promo codes page, and finally enter code WARPSPEED to redeem your reward of 10 epic shards of Kirk. Again, check the description for a link to download Star Trek Fleet Command for free. Thank you STFC and happy 5th year anniversary. Alright, now back to the Coil, the newest seasonal activity in Destiny 2, which as it turns out is actually kinda hard. Coil is a 3-player match-made activity where you go through a linear series of encounters ending in a boss fight 4 times total. Each time you finish a boss, you head back to the main room with the Ghost of Riven, where you can potentially buy Guardian upgrades to make yourself more powerful. Also, each time you finish a boss and start the next phase from the Riven room, the enemies get more powerful. By phase 4, you should be around 20 power levels under your enemy, which can be quite rough. The mechanics of the encounters aren't terribly difficult. Most of them you can probably figure out as you go. They involve solutions like finding and activating plates to open a portal, cleansing yourself in a glowing area of light to fight off a creeping darkness debuff, or using a Vex Cranium to de-shield a big boss. But the real challenge of the Coil, other than staying alive and finding teammates that won't quit out on you, is finding all of these small glowing urns that you can break, which contain motes, aka fused wishing glass. These goddamn little motes are the most important part of the activity, bar none. These motes do 2 things. Thing number 1, they are currency that can be given to Big Ghost Mommy Riven in exchange for Guardian upgrades, which I'll go over my recommendations later. And thing number 2, they bump up your score, and your score is the sole determining factor of the amount of loot you get at the very end of this long activity. I've had people hit me up asking how to get platinum ranking at the end of the Coil. Do you have to kill X number of enemies? Do you gotta do it in under X time and go really fast? Nope. The only determining factor is your score, and again, the only way to raise your score is by collecting these damn motes. Going really fast through the Coil, if you've never done it before, will hinder you and your team, I guarantee you. Trust me, take your time, guys and gals. About 90-ish% of the motes you get in the Coil will come from urns like these. Missing too many urns mean your score won't hit 140,000, and 140,000 is the number you need to hit at the very end in order to get platinum rank. Bungie has mentioned that they're aware at how unforgiving the scoring system currently is and are looking to update it eventually. However, we don't really know when that will be, so until that happens, be thorough. A small percent of the motes you can get will drop from dead enemies, although that's actually kind of rare, don't count on it. The final percent of motes you can get come from a very rare type of enemy called a glass collector, basically a loot goblin. The glass collector will randomly appear in one of the jumping puzzle areas, for a lack of a better term, and will run from you right when you enter the area. Killing it is really important, because if you do, it will drop a ton of motes, which again are really the only thing that matter in the Coil, so be sure to keep your eyes peeled when entering a new jumping puzzle area. Hunting for hidden urns and motes 24/7 is important though, because every jumping puzzle area contains a hidden side room which contains more urns and free Dreaming City loot. The easiest way to make sure you don't miss these is to turn on the Wombo Combo detector on your ghost, and you'll know where the little area is each and every time. Oh yeah, go ahead and remember to only open one chest though. There's always one real chest and one bait chest that will kill you if you get too close. The only reason you should ever go near a bait chest though is if motes from one of the broken urns get too close to the bait chest. Again, you need as many of those freaking motes as you can find, and they're worth your life. If they bounce around behind the bait chest, throw yourself at it, you need the motes. Those hidden side rooms, by the way, will only open if you have a high enough score, so yeah, all the more reason to scour each room from top to bottom, looking for those glowing urns. If you don't, you might not be able to get into the side rooms, which again, literally free loot. If you make it all the way to the end of Phase 4 with a score of 140,000 or higher, you get a platinum score and get to go through a portal to a secret room with 6 chests in total. But don't go crazy and just start popping open chests willy-nilly though. You may not be able to open them all depending on how many lair keys you have on you. It's a good idea to take a minute and look at the chest before opening, because some will straight up show you what they have inside, either specific armor or a specific weapon. So go ahead and choose whatever you want the most first if you're short on lair keys. Alright, now why don't we talk about some tips to make the coil easier overall. To those who might have skipped ahead to this part of the video, I'll quickly re-mention one I already brought up earlier. Put on the Wombo Detector Ghost Shell mod in order to make finding the hidden side rooms in each jumping puzzle easier. Next tip, if you have a Radiant Well Warlock on your fire team, which I highly recommend, have that player save their Wishing Glass Shards at the very beginning and not buy anything until Phase 2. If you found every hidden urn in Phase 1, you should have around 400 Wishing Shards by the time you next visit Riven in Phase 2, which will allow your Warlock to now buy the Super Accelerant Tier 3 power-up. This shit right here is borderline OP for Radiant Well Warlocks in the coil, especially when paired together with Phoenix Protocol. As you can imagine, the boss fight of Phase 4 coil can get hairier than Grenader Jake's back, but with Phoenix Protocol and Super Accelerant, you can straight up fully charge your next Radiant Well right as your first one is ending. GG. If you're looking for other Riven gift recommendations, the other Tier 3 one, which bumps up your power weapon damage, would be the one I most recommend you save up for immediately. An extra 20% damage on your power weapon is no joke. Outside of that, feel free to take whatever you prefer, but if you're new, maybe dump a lot of your shards into extra revive tokens for the team so you don't wipe and fail. Next tip, for the final boss fight where there are 2 cleansing pool areas at the back of the room, bring your Radiant Well Warlock, or Bubble Titan if you don't have a Warlock, to that back area right away to set up shop. It'll be tempting to set up right in the doorway when you enter the room, but being so close to the cleansing pools in the back is great, especially if you have a well, because you don't have to go very far in order to cleanse. Next tip, before jumping through any portal to go to a new area, especially if you're in a jumping puzzle room, turn around, go back, and do a full sweep of the entire area looking for every hidden urn you might have missed. Yeah, I know that is a big pain in the dick, but remember, the motes determine your ability to unlock the hidden side rooms which hold extra loot and determine your score at the end of the run. Again, Bungie has mentioned they'll eventually make score requirements for Platinum more forgiving, but until they do that, you gotta be thorough. The last thing you want to do is go through the whole activity and fall just shy of 140,000 points after spending maybe close to an hour of in-game coil time. It has happened to me and it sucks. Next tip, go in with a full fire team. Apparently, a lot of Blueberries go into the coil thinking it's an activity with a never-ending loop, like the Hive activity from last season, resulting in a lot of match-made players quitting out early. Avoid that if you can by going in with a full fire team to begin with. Treat it like a mini dungeon. Final tip, if you can, make sure you have a bunch of layer keys before going in. You can get layer keys from grinding out ritual activities in D2, stuff like the Strike playlist, Gambit, and PvP. I also heard you can patrol chest farm out in the Dreaming City. I tried that for a few minutes and only wound up getting 1 layer key from doing that. So yeah, it does work, but don't expect to be rolling in keys from doing that alone. All in all, the coil can be an extremely rewarding activity if you get a platinum score, so go bang it out with a team and take your time. If you're new, be sure to check out my video from yesterday reviewing the Exotic Thorn Catalyst if you haven't seen it yet. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on stream.